Two important things I want to say before this video starts. Andrew's sister is safe. She is out of Andrew's harm and is in a safe place as of now. Second of all, there is currently an active investigation going on. The police are most certainly getting involved, although I can't say as many details as I'd like to. Just know that things are happening and we are moving in the right direction. And until that right direction has been fully complete, I will not be releasing the interview. And even still, that interview will have to go through a lot of scrutiny to maintain the privacy of the individuals mentioned in the interview. So, without further ado, here's part 1.5, showing some of the other victims of Andrew's crimes. A couple days ago, another victim of Andrew reached out to me and wanted to share some information. They will remain entirely anonymous throughout this entire video, as obviously, unlike with the last video where I had access to the victim's account and was able to change their private information, this person contacted me directly to ensure that they could censor the details as necessary because they are in a similar situation to the last victim that was shown in the last video. The only details I'll give about this person is that they are also indeed a minor and still are, and obviously were during this interaction that took place over the course of a year and a half or more from the screenshots they sent me. Now, unlike the last video, the screenshots that were sent to me here, every single one of them is by far worse than what you saw in the last video, barring a few things. So, beginning now, if you are uncomfortable with mentions of rape or necrophilia or any other extreme form of abuse like that, please skip to this timestamp where the next part of the video begins. Thank you. These screenshots, which fittingly are in roughly chronological order, gradually get worse over time. So essentially, the screenshot's going to keep getting worse until the end of the conversation. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. In parts of the earliest areas of the conversation, we can see Andrew openly saying that he likes minors that consider themselves to be pedophiles, or minor-attracted persons, and then saying for himself that he prefers the term pedophile over minor-attracted person, meaning that he himself most certainly possesses a form of a corruption fetish or something like that, because he enjoys the idea that he likes children and is getting demeaned for it, which means that he in turn likes to put that demeaning attitude onto others, especially children. So as we move forward through these screenshots, you're going to see Andrew frequently admitting certain things about his relationship with this person. And this person clearly did tell me that Andrew fully groomed them into behaving this way. Unlike the last subject, which was already that way before, Andrew introduced this person to a terrible community of people that are also like-minded and have similar fantasies about corrupting children. So then, not too long after, he immediately expresses his desire for rape to be considered socially acceptable, which is obviously the most delusional thing, one of the most delusional things I've ever heard. But he is clearly using tactics to convince the victim that their feelings and that their horrible thoughts are indeed valid and are okay to express, because he also shares those similar ideas. And almost immediately after, he says, exactly, I think it's important you have to make sure a kid's first sex is, because then they know what they're made for, which is undoubtedly one of the worst sentences I've ever heard come out of someone's fingers or mouth, ever. And the fact that he was saying this openly to a minor, regardless of how that minor is, what kind of state of mind they're in, is completely and utterly psychotic. This then progresses into him encouraging this victim, saying, remember, it's okay to do it because it feels good. And then the victim says, what if they scream? Cheesecake then says, that means you're not going hard enough. And then, again, the minor is having second thoughts, saying, what if they don't like it? And Cheesecake goes, "Oh, you need to hurt them then." If not plainly evident enough, you will see when the interview eventually comes out that Andrew fits every box for a sociopath. He exhibits very little inner voice, understands what he's doing entirely though, and knows how to manipulate people and make them believe that he really does have an inner voice. And although I can't exactly show what I mean by that yet, like I said, when the interview comes out, you'll understand how much of a manipulative bastard Andrew is, and how horrible of a person he really is, beyond the things he has already said. After that previous screenshot, though, the victim sent me a few more sporadic screenshots, so I'm not really 100% sure if the conversation had been continuing from November 2020 through to March of 2021, but I believe it is safe to assume that Andrew had spent this time furthering his grip upon the victim's mental state. And here is where Andrew reveals another one of his horrific, dark desires, saying, he, corpse fucking is a great way to cool off on a hot day. Following this, my blood pressure hit a new high point reading one of the most horrific screenshots I've seen. And this isn't horrific because of what Andrew himself said, but rather what he is trying to get the victim to do, saying, presumably based on the introduction out of the blue, "Hey, groom your friend, okay? 13 is a very vulnerable age. Take advantage of it." With the victim then replying, "I'm trying, but she isn't into NSFW. She just stopped being my friend." And then Andrew actively encouraging them, saying, "Not yet. Keep nudging her about it." These screenshots go further than showing Andrew himself being a menace to children on Roblox, in the furry community, and other spaces, but rather he himself encouraging the continuation of the cycle of abuse by actively telling his victims to groom others and make their lives just as miserable as Andrew's own victims. And again, Andrew's putting his horrific corruption fetish on full display by saying, "Yay, okay, I want to be a bad influence on you. Someone sent me goodies," which is by far one of the most ominous things I have heard in any of these chat logs thus far. After this, the victim did tell me that this was someone that Andrew knew, sending the victim a folder of illegal pornography through Andrew. There is a lot more to this that is yet to be uncovered. So, seriously, if you have any information and would like to come forward, please contact your local authorities. And if you want to, contact me on Discord. Even if you don't want anyone to see your interaction with Andrew, I will be willing to listen to you and what you have to say, and talk if you need someone to talk to. He then briefly notes how literal children who deem themselves as quote-unquote adult-attracted minors that are following his main furry porn Twitter account, and that how he is having trouble not following them back, meaning that the urge to continually groom and abuse children is ongoing and was going on for many, many months after the interactions from the previous video had concluded. For those unaware, an AAM is an adult-attracted minor. Usually this type of behavior arises from some form of grooming from a sick, twisted individual like Andrew. So, if anyone you know happens to have this in a Twitter bio or some form of area where it can be easily visible, please talk to them and make sure everything is okay, because 10 times out of 10, it's not, and they need to be made aware of the seriousness of such a term. A few months later, without any context in between, Andrew decides to show how upset he is that all of the minors he groomed are turning 18 soon, and he needs to avoid being canceled for it. regardless of it being too fucking late, all. How many people have been affected by this sick piece of shit that have not come forward and that we do not know about? Let that sink in. He said he's getting therapy. He said that he has been getting help since September. This screenshot is from September. This is furthering my point that he is actively manipulating my audience into believing that he indeed is getting the help that he needs, and he really has just been fucked up through circumstance and made some poor choices, when clearly this is a continuing problem that he does not want to fix. Afterwards, we can see Andrew a few months later actively encouraging this person to idealize rape as more than just a fantasy, where the minor says, "I can't believe you made me think real, actual rape is okay, and I didn't know you were just fantasizing. Sorry." And then Andrew responding, "Fuck, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry," and then crossing out, "That's hot, but I'm sorry." And then, exactly 1 month and 1 week before, he told the minor from the previous video, "Sorry, you're too young." This happens, with the victim asking, "Am I annoying?" And Andrew, meanwhile, pretending to be in a relationship with the previous victim, saying, "No, you're cute." With the victim replying with something that has been crossed out by them, and then saying, "Thank you, I'm really needy. You make me feel a sense of comfort. I don't know why." With Cheesecake giving a heart emoji and saying, "It's because I groomed you to like me." Andrew, being the sociopath that he is, capitalized on the victim's point of pure emotional distress, knowing he could use it to get whatever he wanted out of someone under the age of 18. Although, thankfully, those are the last of the screenshots, I know for a fact many, many more horrific things have been committed by Andrew to this person and to potentially many others. So, again, if you have any important information, please contact your local authorities, and if you want to talk to me, contact me on Discord at Screechy #3703.
To the creator of this video, please don't add any of your shitty edits.
When you try to cater to everyone, you often end up catering to no one. That's something that I really learned through making the last video, for sure, through all of the comments you guys gave to me. However, I'm going to stick with my guns. No, I'm not taking the video down and re-uploading it. I made it, the video's out there, I'm not changing that. I'm going to stick with my guns. I edited the video in the way that I wanted it to be edited. It went through multiple drafts to ensure that it had the best balance of everything, when clearly it ended up making very few people happy in terms of the sort of editing style. I'm not going to turn this into an apology video because those often are very vapid and full of just complete lies, but I will acknowledge the complaints and I will address them as such. I'm going to put a 60-second timer on so I don't drone on for too long about this, starting now. To anyone who believes I was being insensitive with this, I apologize. Seriously. I wasn't attempting to be insensitive. And I've learned as I've gotten older that trying to justify things like this, which are usually an irrational emotional response to something, it's impossible to justify it with rational means. You guys believe that it was inherently harmful for it to be this way. Other people thought it was the funniest thing they've ever seen. Clearly, there's not much of a middle ground, and in that way, I'd like to say for those who enjoyed it, I like that you enjoyed it, but to those that criticized it, I accept your criticism. I agree, it was a little too jokey sometimes, totally. I sometimes don't fully grasp the severity of a situation like this. I know some people deal with hardship through comedy and some through grieving, and unfortunately I can't just cater to everyone. So for those of you that were criticizing me, thank you. Thank you for speaking up and criticizing me, even when there's other people coming and attacking you. And for those that enjoyed it, thank you for watching and spreading it as much as you can. Part 3 will come out eventually, so please be patient. But also, before the video ends, please stop going after Andrew's family. They do not deserve it. None of them deserve the hate that is going towards them. There is an ongoing investigation, like I said earlier, and his sister is safe. To go after anyone, including Andrew, in this situation is to make yourself a potential risk to the investigation, as well as potentially endangering the livelihood and privacy of the rest of Andrew's family, and they certainly do not deserve that fate. So if you're doing that, stop. You're making it worse for everyone else, and I actively condemn your actions. For the rest of you, however, thank you for watching, and see you later.